I have lost trust in my BF and he's improved, but I am afraid it's too late. What should I do? Hi, my BF and I have been dating for 4 years now. We moved in together 2 years ago. The first year was great, we were happy and never really argued or had problems. I trusted him 110%. Then there was a girl he worked with and we would all hang out, sometimes all 3 of us and sometimes as 2. Then one day he said he wanted to be alone for a few days as he was having a depressive episode. At this time, he was having problems with depression and anxiety due to family issues, so I gave him the space. He ended up not really responding to my messages and then a week later we talk again and he said he wasn't sure about our relationship. Basically I found out that one of those days, he had gone to her house and hung out there for 4 hours while telling me he wanted to be alone. And he admitted he kinda had feelings for her, so he questioned whether we should stay together. I know the timeline is all true because I read their messages. I messed up by invading their privacy, and so I forgave him and moved on with the condition that they don't speak again, and they both agreed. Some time passed and then after I moved in, I saw he was texting an old female friend of his that he knew from going to concerts and parties. I never doubted their friendship before, but I saw they were making plans to see another concert, and when I asked him what they were talking about he got defensive and reminded me I promised not to snoop on his phone. That Friday I planned to go to a concert and then he said that he made plans with her and some others to also go to a concert that night, but I couldn't go since it was 21 plus and I was 20. And I decided to make plans to sleep over with my friend after the concert since she was close by. So that happened, and at 1 a.m. he texted me saying he was on his way home. But I saw his location that he was at a random house. I looked up the address, and the name that came up was Jen. The address was nearby, so my friend and I went and saw his car there at 3 a.m. Called and texted, no response. The next day I looked on his phone and saw they had planned on doing all this from the get-go pretty much. A day later I asked him about it and he said he was home. I called BS and gave him the evidence, to which he then admitted she had no ride and he drove her home, but he was too drunk to drive home and so he slept at her place in her bed. He apologized and said he knew it was wrong and that nothing inappropriate happened. He said he didn't tell me so I wouldn't get upset. I said I wouldn't have been upset if he had been honest. He said he knew I wouldn't be okay with it and that I would freak out, and I would have been fine not knowing. I'm sure you can guess how the conversation went back and forth for an hour. After this incident, we broke up for a couple weeks but got back together as we were still living together and we both made mistakes. Since then, he has been acting better and less defensive and has taken me on dates and bought me flowers. He didn't used to buy those. He also agreed to block her number. They still have each other on social media though. And I try to forget, but not knowing the details of their night together or why he did it in the first place seems to be eating me alive. I know I've done wrong, I invaded his privacy and I tend to start arguments that ultimately lead back to that night. Comment. Just by the title I thought break up with him, then I read the full thing. Yeah, 100% break up with him. I was in a similar situation and it was my breaking point. Breaking up with him was the best thing I ever did. Break up with him. You're so young. There's so much better guys out there. He's sketchy and that's never gonna stop, your mind will always go to those places. You can only have pure trust once it's broken, there's no going back. Put yourself, your happiness, and your health first. And also get tested just in case. Your BF sounds like a loser BTW. Do you really want to date a loser? I would try to get the full story from her. Don't attack her, just be empathetic and request for her help in finding the truth. Regardless, I can see why your trust is dwindling. Your BF sounds like he doesn't respect you. Seems like he's only acting this way to be in good graces with you again. I have a good feeling his past behavior is an indicator of how he'll be again in the future. If you forgive him again, he'll think his behavior is okay. The Jen thing is super messed up though. Next story 2. Girlfriend cheated on me with our boss. Gonna start off by saying this is the first time I've used Reddit, let alone making a post. So if I'm not doing this right, I apologize. J, was dating my girlfriend, who I will call M, for about 8 months. I know, not very long, but was the longest relationship I have been in. We both worked in the same grocery store and I had a crush on her for months. I finally worked up the courage to ask her out and to my surprise she said yes. Fast forward to when our new store manager, T, starting working there. For a couple months I thought he was a good guy, serious but knew how to keep things lighthearted. but one day when I was off work and M was off at 2 p.m. she came over to my place like she often would, and out of nowhere she tells me that our manager, T, said to her, you could do a lot better than him. To say I was upset by this comment would be an understatement. She even tried to downplay it by saying he didn't mean it like that. How else would he mean it? So from there on, I voiced my concerns about him to her, but she would always tell me not to worry. Eventually I found a better paying job with better hours. My goal was to move out so my GF and I could live together to help her with university. She lived 30 to 40 minutes outside of our town, so moving in would make life for her easier. We ended up moving in with my friends. There was 5 of us in that house and everything seemed perfect. I got to wake up to the woman I loved and have my close friends all in the same place. And it was going great for about a month. One day I noticed that T was texting her a lot and I asked about it, and she said that they have become close friends. Safe to say this annoyed me, because deep down I knew what his intentions were. I started to notice that she was spending more and more time with T outside of the workspace, usually with other work friends. But where it gets worse is where he would invite her over to his apartment, alone to hang out. Now I never got concrete evidence that she cheated on me, but let's be honest, there's no way nothing happened, and at the very least she was emotionally cheating on me. At this point I was convinced she was gonna leave me for him, so I tried my best to save our relationship. I sat her down one night in our bed and voiced my concerns about him yet again, and I'm not proud of this, but about halfway through I just start bawling my eyes out, practically begging her not to leave me. She hugged me and told me I had nothing to worry about and I was her one true love. About a week later she came over and I went in for a hug and she paused and said, "I don't want any affection right now, we need to talk." My heart sank when I heard her say that. She said that her mental health was in decline and with the stress of work, uni, and me that it was too much. We sat in silence for what felt like forever, but eventually we started packing all her things. I only lasted maybe 5 minutes before I just completely broke down and couldn't help pack. So just like that, the woman of my dreams, the only who could truly make me laugh and break me out of my shell was gone, just like that. The next day my buddy S, who's also my landlord, gave me her portion of the rent back. I messaged her saying that I had her rent money on my dresser for her and she can come pick it up when I'm at work. I also left her a note stating that I held no resentment for her and I respect her choice and that I would wait for her to be in better health. And she replied with a note of her own saying she's glad I don't hate her, boy is that gonna change, and that she wants to remain friends and that maybe in the future we could get back together. So I was holding on to chance we might get back together for months. But as it turns out she started dating T not even a month after she left me. So all that mental health stuff she was saying was all a lie, and nothing more than an excuse to leave me for someone almost twice her age. Ever since I found out they've been dating I have been inconsolable. I feel like she was groomed by him and the fact that her family is just okay with it is absolutely mind-blowing. Not really looking for any advice, just wanted to pretty much write my thoughts down as a way to help me get over her. But if you made it the end I wanna say thank you and I hope you never have to experience anything like this. Comment. As soon as her AP/manager said she could do better, it was his way of declaring his intentions. You dodged a bullet. Your GF was a young impressionable cheater and I know you don't feel lucky, but the POS store manager/AP did you a favor taking out your trash. I know it's not what you want to hear, but it's what you need to see. Anyone who cheats has it in them to do it anytime and lie about it because they have low moral character. Your ex and her AP deserve each other. AP will get bored of your ex and find another teenager to groom at the store. Don't be surprised if she comes crawling back when he does, and whatever you do don't believe a word she says. Go and see to heal from a cheater. Nothing can be gained by further pain surfing. The fact that she would repeat what he said about you to you already should have been a red flag. She was already entertaining the fact that she could do better than you. You should have dipped out then. Don't even sweat it, bro, you're young. Go find more women. Experience life before you're too old. Been in your shoes? It sucks, but it taught me something that couldn't have been taught by anything else. Always love yourself more than anyone. This will allow you to walk away from things you're not comfortable with. BC your self-love. If a GF ever says some SHT about a man said this or that about you, just make the exit plan. BC it might not be that guy, but she's comparing you to other guys and it's time to leave before she finds one. Oh, and please, never give her the time or day. Even for a pump and dump, she's not worthy. While I agree with the majority of that sentiment, I don't agree with never cry in front of a woman again. That's toxic machismo, and while I agree I wouldn't waste tears on this girl, with the right girl there is nothing wrong with that, and showing your real emotions is healthy and a good thing. Shows you care. Move on and find better, but don't stop being you, which is a great guy with a sensitive side. Next story 3. I am having weird feelings about my husband's, 31M, new female friend. How do I broach this with him? My husband and I have been married for 3 months and it has been hard because we are long distance until I find a new job and move out there with him. Recently, he made a female friend at his new job and they talk quite often. He has told me a bit about her and has mentioned that they've hung out before in groups. This last weekend, he went out for drinks with her and some other people from work. My husband barely drinks. In the 3 years we've known each other, I've never even seen him drunk. That night, he was out until 3 a.m. He told me that he was too drunk to drive, so he napped on someone's couch until he sobered up enough to drive himself home. I was worried because this is out of the norm for him. When I asked how many drinks he'd had and whose couch he slept on, he kind of hesitated and then gave me a weirdly vague answer like, I think it was male name S apartment. He has other female friends that I've met before, but they seem to be not so close and this feels a little different. I also haven't met her yet. I have some male friends and acquaintances from work and school, but I keep them at arm's length out of respect for my husband. I would like him to do the same for me, especially while we are long distance and unable to spend much time together, but I don't know how to talk to him about this without him accusing me of not trusting him or trying to control him or something. I know he wouldn't like if I was talking to a male friend all the time and going out drinking until 3 a.m., so I don't do that. I should also mention that he cheated on me in the past before we were married. I forgave him and we moved past it, but it's a touchy subject for him and every time I bring up anything like this, he accuses me of holding it against him. It just makes me uncomfortable and I feel like he doesn't really respect or stick up for our marriage the same way I do. How do I bring my feelings about this up to him without him getting all defensive? Comment. What is it about her that is giving you weird feelings exactly, as opposed to his other co-workers? It seems like the problem here is your husband's sudden drunken nights with co-workers. I haven't seen anything here to indicate he's doing things exclusively with her as opposed to the rest of his co-workers. Am I wrong here? Maybe I am missing something, but it seems like he is also going out with other co-workers and not getting drinks with her alone? Is that not the case? Does he actually not want you to have male friends, or does he not want you drinking with them alone late into the night? Of course you are uncomfortable. He cheated in the past. He doesn't take responsibility for your feelings. He has left you feeling like he doesn't respect the relationship. He lives far away and is suddenly acting cagey. He has crossed a line. It's possible he was just having bad thoughts, but he slept over there and wasn't upfront about it. That is already a problem. Just use facts when you discuss it. No speculation. He was out of line drinking too much and putting himself in a bad position. I think you should just mention how it makes you feel. Hanging out with other women while married and when your wife isn't living with you is not something he should do. If he gets defensive, ask him if it was the other way around, how would he take it? Don't let him put the blame on you. You have a legitimate concern as he already crossed the line with his cheating before and you really don't know what happened the night he got drunk. Was he with her and lied? I think you should be open with your feelings and it's normal to feel insecure in your situation.